Alright, today's going to be our third project of this video, and what we're going to do is your assignment is to make a box from slabs. I'm going to first start by showing you how to make a slab. So on my assignment page I talked about 3 different ways to make a slab. Well, I'm going to show you 2 of them. The third way is using a slab roller, and I don't have a slab roller, but there is one at school, so if you come into school I'll show you how to use it. So I started with a piece of clay, I wedged it up. I'm going to get it going in the direction I want to in this way in terms of making a slab. And then I'm going to take it the other way, or the other way I'm going to show you is stretching or throwing a slab. So I'm going to take the slab or piece of clay and stretch it against the table. So I'm pulling it towards myself, kind of whipping it till I hit the center of the clay. If I hit the edges of the clay, it'll be thin on the edges and thick in the middle. So what I want to do is hit the center of it. It means kind of whip it like that. And as I'm doing this, the piece of clay is getting bigger and bigger, stretching it out. Some people will flint around like that. I've seen some techniques where they go like that. I like to just pull it towards myself, but notice I'm also turning it a quarter turn each time I do that. So I'm stretching it out in all different directions. So when it shrinks, because clay shrinks when it dries, it'll shrink more evenly and you'll have less problems with cracking or splitting around the edges. So turning and stretching, throwing it out. There you go. So there's that technique. I'm just going to go that far with it. All right? And I would keep doing that and stretching it out, and eventually I'd have a nice thin slab. But the other technique, which is commonly used, is using some kind of roller, like a cardboard tube, piece of PVC pipe, or a rolling pin. So I have a rolling pin here, and I can roll my clay out like this. Now, if I do it with the rolling pin, I'm going to come up with a rather uneven result, maybe. So a lot of times I'll get 2 sticks, or in this case, yardsticks like this, put it on each side of the slab, and I'll roll it out. That way, the yardsticks, this is like a slab roller. It's how a principle of slab roller works on. It keeps the roller at an even distance above your piece of clay, and therefore you get a nice even result. Now, every time I roll it out, I'm going to flip it over because it gets going to stick to my wear board a little bit. And again, my wear board is just a board with canvas. Again, you can use plasterboard or a piece of plywood, something that's porous, not something that's that has a slick or smooth surface like from mica or plastic, anything like that. All right, there we go. I have a nice slab. All right, now what I want to do too, I always like to put texture into my slabs. I think it makes your piece more interesting. So for that purpose, you could use anything. You could use a piece of lace fabric. I found this somewhere. I'm going to lay it on my slab. You could use grass and leaves. You could use the bottom of your shoe. I'd use rubber bands. You roll them into your slab, and then it leaves a nice, beautiful texture in it. And what's the virtue of that is it hides any imperfections. Surface treatment, which is something I also want you to put into your box, hides little imperfections and flaws. There we go. Very nice. Okay, there's my slab with my texture in it. Let's see if you can see that. Look at that. See these little bumps here and there? Those are little air bubbles. I don't really worry too much about them. This was a piece of used clay, so what I had to do is I wedged it up, but I didn't wedge it up good enough. So what I'm going to do, if I want to get rid of them, is take my pin tool, I'll poke holes in them, and then I'll roll over it again and roll those, push that air out of the clay. Okay, so there you go. Now what I've done is I have, again, this box you're going to make, the size and the shape of it is up to you. What I have here is some examples. I'm just going to show you first what some examples. I'm going to make a 4x6" box. I'm just going to show you different boxes. These have different kind of feet on it. The lid kind of cuts, I cut the lid out of the middle of it. You know, I'm just showing you a few different examples of boxes. All right, and here's another box where I cut the lid off in a very different way around the outside of it, like so. There we go. And then I put a handle on this one, like that one. Here's another 4x6" box where I cut the top off, and then I put an edge around it. So the edge holds the lid in place. I want you, if you're going to make it, I want your lid to fit in place. Now this one, I actually melted glass on the top of it in my kiln, so that was kind of cool. Nice pattern. We could maybe do some of that at Columbia, if you're so inclined. Here's another 4x6-inch box where the lid fits on the inside. Once I cut the lid off, I put a little thing on the inside here to hold the lid in place, like so. Voila. Okay, so there's a few different ideas for lids. And again, the box is up to you. So what I'm going to do now, I've also taken or made a template. My template is, I could measure out each piece 4 by 6 inches, but then that becomes kind of got to measure everything. But the other way to do it is to use a template. So I have a 4 by 4 inch piece and a 4 by 6 inch piece. And put together, these will make a box. So I need to cut 4 of these out for the bottom and the top and the sides, and then 2 of these for the ends. So I'll lay my template on my slab and then cut around it. The other thing about slabs, which I think is good, is to make your slabs ahead of time and let them sit out for a couple hours. That way the clay dries and your pieces of clay are much easier to handle. Because this clay is so wet or plastic, when I pick this piece of clay up, you see how flexible it is, and I pick it up and it stretches out, and then I lose my shape, you know. So again, I'll always like to make my pieces ahead of time. Now I did make some pieces ahead of time, but I'm just going to show you. I'll take this piece, all right, then I'm going to cut out a piece here with this, my square. This will be the end. This will be either the top or the side or the bottom. And then what I'm going to do, I could butt these together, but if I want the size of the box to be 4 by 6 inches, I'm going to actually cut a bevel in the side of each piece. Put that on the side. Always save your scraps. They come in handy later on. So to bevel this, I'm just going to take my rib. You got a rib that comes in the kits, or you can get a serrated rib, or you can use your knife. And you can, or another simple strategy or trick is you take the edge of a ruler and you just push it into the edge like this, and then you bevel that, right? Pull it towards you at a 45-degree angle, though obviously I'm not measuring, right? So when I put it together with a 45-degree angle here, they will fit together in what? A 90-degree angle. They do this in woodworking all the time, where they bevel the edges of things. There we go. There we go. And then I can take my fork, got my little bottle of water here, my little jar of water. Rather than having slip, I'll score and slip this with a fork. The water helps make some slip on the edge of my slab. And then I'm going to put these together. All right. Now my video is coming up to 8 minutes. So, but you can see because the clay is kind of soft, it's kind of floppy. So I'm going to let this dry out. I'm going to end the video. Then we'll come back when these are a little bit drier, and then we'll put them together. All right. So that's how we would start making our box. All right.